Hey Vloglodites, I am very, very frustrated. This is the third time I've tried recording this video, and I do my vlogs in one take. I am a straight white male. I have a great job. I am extremely fortunate to be where I am, and so there is no reason for me to talk about anything I'm going to talk about. And to a large extent, it's very dangerous for me to talk about this sort of thing as someone who has an audience on the internet who I like having, and whenever you talk about things like race or religion or politics or things of that nature, you risk really inflaming people and turning people off, and it's something that most people tend to avoid. And I sure as heck can't do this on my main channel. But this is my journal, and I have to trust that you are an intelligent and sensible enough person to realize that these are my jumbled thoughts and not to read into them personal offense and take things that I'm saying without a grain of salt. Because I can't even say that you'll take my words out of context, because I may say things in context that you may disagree with, and I welcome that disagreement, but I hope that you will not take it as a personal attack, because I have no bone to pick with individuals whatsoever, and I just have to trust that you know me well enough not to take what I say without the broader context of having some sense of who I am as a person. But the George Zimmerman trial ended, and George Zimmerman was acquitted, and I apologize to your audience. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just do a quick Google search, because it's everywhere right now, and people are enraged because he killed a 17-year-old black man in what the jury has decided was self-defense. However, this man was not armed, and this is being treated by many lay people, I guess, as a hate crime. And it's been really distressing to watch the response after this. I was watching a live feed of a protest in Union Square in New York, just 2 subway stops away, down by the office, where people were encouraging others to kill policemen and steal and loot stores, because clearly we have no justice system, and the white supremacy of this country is untenable. And I need to say a few disjointed things, because I look at people rushing to either defend the court decision or attack the court decision, and it drives me insane, not as a white person, but just as a rational person. The thing is, in the United States judicial system, to be charged with a crime, you have to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That is what we've decided, that it is better for a guilty person to go free sometimes than it is for an innocent person to be imprisoned. And I have to say that the situation, that the judicial system would scare me an awful lot more if that were reversed. So when when George Zimmerman was acquitted, it doesn't mean that he didn't do it, and it doesn't mean the jurors could have thought he probably did it. That's not enough. You had to be confident that he committed this crime, because we view prosecuting someone who is not guilty very, very heinous indeed. And so I wasn't surprised by the decision, and this brings me to my second point. The problem that people seem to be having is that there's this thing called stand your ground law, and this whole idea of self-defense, that if you perceive a threat, you are perfectly licensed to shoot somebody, as long as you think the threat is credible. The problem with this is it's not something that the jury gets to have any say in. All the jury does is say, given the laws that currently exist, are we confident that you broke them or not? And violence is a terrible thing, and I don't know that the self-defense laws are appropriate, but that's not what was decided today. And I would have hoped the people who felt that that was wrong would have been protesting much longer, protesting much earlier, because those laws were put in place before this crime even took place. I had a third thing. I guess I have what you would call white guilt, in the sense that I feel terrible that I cannot relate to racism. I don't know what it's like. And I have this feeling of guilt that whenever I even have a problem with not being comfortable not understanding racism, it is absurd for me to have a problem with this because I am so entitled. How dare I have any cares in the world? It's ridiculous. And I think my conclusion has to be that I'm going to have problems with things, and I'm going to have thoughts about racism and feminism and homophobia and all that kind of stuff. And it's not that they're invalid, but addressing them is probably a lower priority, which is great. As long as I'm still allowed to have those thoughts without feeling like a terrible person for it. And I grew up in a predominantly white community, and I know that I still do. Oh boy, I'm getting into dangerous territory. I still feel a little bit uncomfortable in cultures I'm not familiar with. There is a little bit of tribalism that I have in my brain, and it's something that I try not to react to, and I try not to let it affect my actions, but I recognize that it's there. I know that I don't like or really understand rap music. I know that I think it's stupid when people wear their pants below their knees. I know I don't like ghetto speak, I guess. But I realize that those are superficial things, and they really should have no impact on how I treat people as individuals. I know that they're just cultural things that are foreign to me, and thus a little bit scary, and things that I'm not familiar with. And I would hope that I'm not alone, and that's not solely a white person thing, and that people of all cultures find habits and other cultures a little bit foreign and a little bit different and somewhat uncomfortable, but that we hold those things lightly and we don't let them impact how we treat people. And it's probably just a side effect of lack of familiarity. I'm going to pause this because this has cut me off before, and I don't want it to do it again, so I'm going to cut and then come right back. Okay, we're back, and anyway, so I have this constant fear of accidentally exhibiting racism, or I guess feminism, or even homophobia, because I'm not a member of any of those oppressed minorities, and so I have no idea what they are going through, and I have no idea in which way my actions affect people who are part of those minorities. And it's just, there are many who would say that because I'm not the type of person that's actively campaigning for minority rights, it's not something that is personal to me necessarily, and it's not something that affects me in my daily life. I try and treat all individuals with respect. Well, I mean, if a person is an asshole, I may be an asshole back to them, but it's not because of their race, it's because they're being an asshole. But there are people that say that my, I guess to an extent, indifference about the issue makes me complicit in the oppression of minority groups, and I have a real problem with that idea because I don't know how to be better about that. One of the things that this is tokenism. One of the things that I've really enjoyed is Lamar Wilson and Black Nerd Comedy did a collab video a while back, and it was just a fun, jokey video, and they were just kind of going through talking about stereotypes about black people, and just like reading off a list and then laughing it up and making jokes about it. And I loved it because it was so entertaining and it made me so uncomfortable. Because yeah, those are cultural stereotypes, but it was so freeing to just see them laughing about it and not taking it seriously and not finding fault with it, but just saying, well, people are really stupid when they make assumptions. And I loved that video. It's the sort of thing where I wish we could all just say that, we have some cultural differences and we all have biases and we all, in our nature, tend to group people by some shared attributes, and that's wrong. It's not even necessarily wrong, but it would be wrong for us to change the way that we treat an individual based on the way that we see the group. If we fail to see the tree for the forest. And so, I don't know, I feel like I'm already just really scared of this vlog because I feel like I'm digging myself into a racist asshole hole, and I'm not trying to be. And there's this concept in feminism of the white knight, the person that tries to be so apologetic as a male and come to the defense and attack all of the chauvinists, and it becomes just as patronizing. And I feel like even talking about race makes me, to an extent, a white knight in that regard as well. And I don't want to be that. I don't want to be racist. I don't want to be white knight. I want to be a person, and I want to treat people as individuals, and I don't want this to be a problem, and I don't want us to have to continue to have this hostility because I see it on every side. I see racist white people, I see racist black people, I see there being the sense of tribalism on every side, and with minority groups I can kind of understand it more because we have this whole idea of cultural identity is really important when you're an oppressed group. When you have, there's the LGBT community, and it is very important that they have an identity and that they are strong and united because it compensates for the ridiculous homophobia that we have. And the same with feminism, it compensates for the ridiculous chauvinism we see, and the same with racism. At the same time, I despise the fact that we have to have these cultural identities and groups. I understand why they're there, but I really would like, in, 100 years, for feminism to be stupid, and for LGBT to be stupid, and for black pride or Indian pride or whatever pride to be stupid, because there's no one oppressing and there's no reason that there needs to be a kind of a compensating identity there. And so I feel very fortunate for not having had to experience the problems of many minorities. But I think it's difficult because there's an implied idea that because I am a straight white male, I cannot and should not be part of the conversation, that I should gracefully know my place and bow out of it. Because I can't possibly understand what it is like But the problem that I have with that is that no one on this planet can possibly understand what it's like to be anyone else on this planet, regardless of these groups that we categorize ourselves by. And given that, I guess no one should talk to anybody, since we can't possibly understand. But since that's the case, why, and we have to live together, why don't we just accept that we're never going to 100% understand where everyone else is coming from, and just do our best to empathize and say that that's okay and that's good enough? I don't know how to be a friend to the black community or the gay community or the female community or any sort of group like that. I only know how to try and empathize with individuals and the struggles that they face, even though they are different from mine. And it's something that I work toward. And I do have latent prejudices against races, against people my age who don't get jobs, and they're trivial and they don't matter. And they're just small biases that I do my best to ignore, and I do not weight very highly in my brain. And I just wish I knew how to be a little bit better about doing that, and I just wish that we could approach each other as individuals and not tie everything to being an issue of discrimination or race. I don't know. I think I'm out of things to say. I'm really frustrated, and I don't know if this is as much of a global issue as it is a national issue, so I apologize if this really doesn't apply. I would love to know your thoughts, and I just have to reiterate, because I am terrified of this video. Please understand that I'm just trying to be honest, and that I'm just trying to express my thoughts, and there's a big white guilt part of me that feels like I have no right to even have these thoughts or have an opinion on the subject. But so please, even if you've been inflamed or enraged by anything that I've said, please try and understand that it's coming from the part of someone, from the point of view of someone who has a very intimate understanding of his own ignorance, and is not intending to hurt anybody or offend anybody. So, if you have watched this whole video, I'm sure it's long, I appreciate it, and I would really love to know your thoughts, or actually, I'd really like to see a video response, just because I don't know, and I really need people to kind of help me work through this. So I'll open this up. I haven't done that with vlogs, but if you want to leave a video response, great. If you want to leave a comment, that's great too. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.